Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Anarchy Analysis Prediction Series. We're going to be looking at Week 6 of the LEC and Week 3 of the LCS this week, as well as our results from last weekend's action. Speaking of which, let's dive into last weekend's results, starting with the LCS. Not so good, I would say, as our results. As day 1, 2 out of 5, we picked up the Golden Guardian CLG game and the Dignitas EG. As for day 2, slightly better, 3 out of 5, we dropped only the TSM Golden Guardians game and the EG 100 Thieves game. As for the LEC, sort of the similar sort of result. Day 1, 3 out of 5, we dropped Rogue Astralis and Vitality XL. And day 2, 2 out of 5, we picked up BDS XL and G2 Astralis. Again, 2 5 out of 10s, half the points needed in a week to get full marks. So yeah, slightly under where we need to be. So, to start up these predictions, I figured I would just announce this. The matchup of the week for the LCS is no longer a thing. It's honestly quite draining at the moment to keep up with the LCS, with the hours being such hard times for me to keep awake in, and with my weekends being incredibly long as is. I'm honestly thinking it's best to just stick to the LEC. Now, as for the predictions, we'll continue to do them, just not at a breakneck, in-depth breakdown as we're used to. In fact, it's just going to be a quick rattle off of the predictions for this week. So, 100 Thieves, Golden Guardians, I've gone 100 Thieves. IMT, TSM, I've gone IMT. TL versus EG, I have gone Team Liquid. Dignitas versus Fly, I've gone Dig. C9 versus CLG, I've gone C9. Day 2, we start it off with EG, IMT, and I have gone Evil Geniuses. FlyQuest 100 Thieves, I have gone 100 Thieves. TSM C9 in the Wolves matchup of the week, I have gone C9. Dignitas versus Golden Guardians, I've gone Dig. And CLG versus TL, this is a no-brainer, I've gone TL. That's my predictions for the LCS. Again, I apologize for having to cut down on the content, but it is for the better and the good of my health. So, LEC time. Fnatic versus Astralis is the opening game, and Astralis have been looking better. It's the new half, or the second half of the split. The teams tend to look different to how they did to open it up. And Astralis, they still have strength in the lineup, but no one realistically expected them to be as good as they were when they beat Rogue last weekend. And as such, you kind of have to look at this matchup with new light, as Fnatic are a team that are also starting to struggle in the second half. But whom do I think is going to win? I have actually gone with a Fnatic win. Overall, stylistically, I just feel that Fnatic can demolish this Astralis lineup in a meaningful way that just takes them off the rift and puts them in a sticky situation in the bot lane with Upset dismantling his opponents. Game 2 is Misfits XL. As a whole, these two teams are vying for the playoff spots, and honestly, the playoff race this year is very close. You've got teams that should be realistically challenging for top 2/3 down in the 5th-6th battle, and teams in the top 2 that should be in the 5th-6th battle. Now, I'm personally looking at this matchup with a lot of aspiration, as you've got two very strong mid laners. VTO versus Nukeduck is a battle that I'm honestly looking forward to seeing, and as a whole will dictate the rest of the map. Obviously, we are breaking down from last weekend's games the Misfits lineup, as they beat out BDS then. So hopefully, we can outline some of the strengths that Misfits has as they face this XL lineup. And obviously, I've gone with a Misfits win. Moving on up to BDS versus Vitality, and you know, looking at this matchup, it is a close old battle. And it's sad to say because everyone expected the Vitality roster to be atop of the table here in spring. But they're not. They're middling team. As I said, there's a lot of teams in the middle of the pack still. And realistically, that is one of them. And BDS are on the lower end of the middle. And, you know, it could go either way. However, I still feel that Vitality should out-edge it based on this patch. As a whole, this patch has been very unique, I would say. With TF taking a few nerfs, he's still being banned out quite heavily. And that makes me worry because there's still some other power picks yet to be discovered. And as a whole, when you're saying that, you could expect to see something unique out of Vitality in the mid lane that just is out there and able to pick up a win for them. SKG2 to almost round out the day, the penultimate matchup you would say on day one of the LEC. Oh, I'm just going to say G2 and SK have been struggling. They're not on form at all. And yeah, G2 have just been playing exceptionally well this year. And as a whole, I still think that they could win the LEC, even though there are some pretty big beasts for them to face off. Somehow this matchup has been denied a matchup of the week twice. Rogue vs Mad is the rematch from the finals. It is a big old matchup because both teams realistically had a poor weekend last weekend. Rogue dropped their first two matches this entire split against one team dead at last and one other team that's middling the pack. Mad are in the bottom of the pack as it is, and realistically speaking have not been performing to the highest of levels. Now that being said, this could go again either way, as I've said throughout the years of these two facing off, but I think this time it's a definitive Rogue win, because one of these teams is going to go 0-3 and one of these teams is going to go 1-3 in the past 3 games, and that realistically is more appealing to Rogue in my opinion, and it's really going to put pressure on the Mad Lions if they want to get the playoffs. Now we enter our matchup of the week, where XL take on Astralis in a battle of the bottom of the bin. XL as a whole this split have been performing exceptionally well, whereas Astralis have not. Let's be honest, they've been close on a couple occasions, only just picking up their first win on day one last weekend. Now, I for one think that this matchup is one-sided, though we want to look at how XL have played. They are the team in the spotlight for us in this week's playoff contenders series, and as a whole, looking at it, this is a matchup you have to say they must win in order to ramp up and keep the pressure on these top teams in the top 6 if they want to get that playoff berth. Now, realistically speaking, XL have been playing quite well as of late, and realistically have been shaky in only a couple of matchups, which is where you start to wonder if XL can make top 6 or not. Only time will tell whether or not they will get that, but that is the story of this matchup and why we are focusing in on them as a playoff contender. BDS SK is a bottom of the barrel battle for the playoffs, as these two teams vying for 6th. As a whole, one of these two is not going to make it to playoffs in my opinion, and that team that isn't going to make it is sadly SK. I've gone with a BDS win here. Overall, the team that's from France is showing a lot of aggression, and it isn't tempered. They are going out, they're going swinging, and there's certain positions you would say they haven't shown a lot of strength, but the one place that they've got a lot of strength is in the mid lane. Nuclear Int has been running it down for this lineup, dismantling his opponents, and is probably the shining star on the BDS lineup, where the remaining K-Corp members haven't realistically shown too much. Now, as I say that, you could see BDS playing a bit more towards the bottom half of the map here, where SK's shining light should be. And I personally think that this matchup is close, though BDS will edge it out. Double M says Mad vs Misfits is the third match of day 2, and personally I like this one. I like it a lot. It's going to be explosive, it's going to be a lot of action, and it's going to be high octane. Mad throwing it in the final minutes yet again. No, they're not facing off against SK again, who had their number last weekend and the time before they faced them. And personally, Misfits as a whole, I think will win this. They're my pick. Though Mad, I don't know what's going on with their heads. They're more of a playoff place team. They're more of a world team. They're an international fighter, is the best way to put them. They're really strong when they get to them. But during the regular season, you would call them, honestly, dopey. Like, very sleepy. They'll get to playoffs and then do well then. But this split, they've been underperforming to where they usually are. And it's no fault of their own. They've just been outclassed in certain aspects. And I think the Misfits lineup will do the same thing that's happened to Mad throughout the entire split, and just dismantle them across the rift. Vitality Rogue is the fourth match of day 2, and you know, I don't want to beat around the bush. This is one of the shorter predictions to say. Both teams had a struggle last weekend, but Rogue are more likely to bounce back and continue the trend of dominating the league. I think they're almost guaranteed playoffs if they win the next game. And if they win a couple more, they're guaranteed top 2. This team has looked phenomenal during the split, and Vitality have not. They've stumbled. They've been hit or miss. And personally, this matchup is where they'll probably be undone the most, as Rogue are most likely gonna win this. And finally, we have G2 versus Fnatic. The Battle of the Old Guard is the name of this matchup, and it is gonna be very, very interesting, as Fnatic edged out against G2 previously. I don't think we'll get the same result. G2 are my prediction, and you've gotta look at how Targamas plays the map. Hilly and Targamas have probably been the best 2 supports in Europe this year, and I for one realistically think that they will be demolishing other lanes with how they like to play. Expect some spice, something unique out of either of them, as Zillion was brought in by Hilly. Pike is on the table for both of them, both known for their pikes as a whole, and I for one think I want to see blood across the rift from these 2 supports. But as I say, my support pick is Targamas in this one, and I have gone with a G2 win. And with that, predictions are done with for this weekend. And again, I apologize for what I'm doing with the LCS. I just need some mental headspace. But shout out to Akita-sen on Instagram for the lovely double A artwork that you see throughout the video. And with that, I can bid you all adieu. Thank you very much for joining me. If you enjoyed this episode, leave a like down below. Subscribe if you enjoyed, if you want to. And I will see you guys next week for the predictions, as well as our breakdown on Misfits, which will be coming out soon, and Excel. See you guys then.